Fate brought us here together, and it will never tear us apart. We'll always be together, Cereza.
No, Luca. We've always been together. My clumsy, lovely fool. Will forever be in my heart.
What the hell did I just play? Hello my nerdlings, you missing me's nerd here. Recently I finished Bayonetta 3, and I know I said I would post this video in March, but I thought it would be better just to get this video out while my thoughts were still fresh. If you're new to my channel, you might have missed my past videos talking about Bayonetta 3. I am a huge fan of the series, and I adore the main character. So much that I got a pair of her glasses for my prescription, and of course I got Bayonetta 3 at launch. I avoided all talk of this game to avoid any spoilers so I can enjoy playing this game blindly. After taking my sweet time finishing it, wow, I have never been more disappointed in a game. The Last of Us Part 2, Borderlands 3, and Batman Arkham Knight were all games I was really hyped for but was also disappointed by. In comparison, Bayonetta 3 obviously bums me out the most when it comes to being disappointing, and I just want to share my thoughts on it. Alright, a couple things before I get started. Number one, obvious spoilers, and number two, before I get on with my complaints, I will admit that the game is fun to play. My main issues are mostly with the story and the characters, so if you're the type of gamer that just doesn't care about story when it comes to video games, feel free to skip this video and play Bayonetta 3 all you want. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this video. This one is going to be a little short. My complaint is with the overall premise of this game. You know how Bayonetta's 1 and 2, there was time traveling aspects when it came to the story? Well, for Bayonetta 3, it's multiverse. You know, alternate timelines, alternate versions of characters, that type of stuff. I don't know what they were trying to do with the multiverse stuff other than bring in a character I have a lot of complaints for later towards the end, but Bayonetta 3 overall is just a very shitty multiverse story. And you know what? There's actual talks of Bayonetta 4 is going to happen, and honestly, after playing this game, I'm not excited about it, but considering this game's like a multiverse, I hope that this entire story gets retconned after that ending. The ending to this game is one thing I take issue with, but it's not my main issue when it comes to Bayonetta 3. I have an issue with the story as a whole, especially with how certain characters are handled. Prime example would be Bayonetta herself. In Bayonetta 2, that was peak for Cereza as a character. She felt more developed. She still felt like the fun, badass, empowering female character she was in the first game. But compared to Bayonetta 2 Cereza, to the Cereza in Bayonetta 3, it's like a nosedive for her character. The Cereza in Bayonetta 3 feels like a complete stranger, or more so like an alternate universe version of her character. Don't get me wrong, she's still a fun character, but she doesn't feel like the Cereza from the previous two games. I was having a back and forth with my friend who's a bigger Bayonetta fangirl than I am. She put it best when she said that it was like the writer's housewifed Bayonetta with how out of character she was in this game. Also, by the way, please go support my friend. She's an awesome Twitch streamer. You'll really like her content. I'll have her links in the pinned comment below. Overall, when it came to Cereza in Bayonetta 3, this was the weakest portrayal of her character. There's also the fact that she dies. I want to make this clear, I have no issue with the death of a main character. It was theorized by how she collapsed in the teaser trailer she was going to die in this game. Bayonetta is a character no one wants to see lose, or in her case, literally get dragged to hell. But the death of the main character is very fitting for a passing of the torch ending for said character, which was clearly what they were trying to go for. But that leads to my next complaint. Viola. I hate Viola as a character and successor to Cereza. Since I'm going into spoilers, Viola is Luca and Cereza's daughter from an alternate timeline. Clearly, she takes after her dad in the personality department. Luca was always annoying cringe to me from the start, and seeing his cringy behavior in his daughter is It's not cute. It's just not cute. And of course, she does have that typical teen angst with her, which just makes her even more annoying as a character. Honestly, it's hard for me to look at her and see that Viola is Cereza's daughter. She hardly has any resemblance to Cereza when it comes to personality. I'm guessing she was created to be more of a daddy's girl with how much she takes after Luca, but whatever, she's still annoying. Another thing about Viola, you don't really see her interact with Cereza much throughout this game, which is kind of bull not to have your secondary protagonist spend any time with the main character. I mean, Loki and Cereza had more screen time together in Bayonetta 2 and developed a big sister little brother relationship. When I first saw Viola in the trailer, I was hoping to see a protege and teacher relationship between Cereza and Viola, or at least Viola and Jean, since the only information about Viola that was out before the plot twist got revealed when the game came out was that Viola was an Umbra witch in training. She could have been a descendant of an unknown survivor of Cereza and Jean's Umbra witch clan that was massacred centuries ago. Or in this universe, if anyone can learn the dark arts without needing to be from a witch's bloodline, seeking out the surviving witches, aka Jean or Cereza, to train her, that would have been a better fit. When I first saw her in the trailer, I was hoping to see a protege and teacher relationship between Cereza and Viola, or at least Viola and Jean, but not to have Viola spend any significant time with Cereza. I just don't like Viola as a character and see her as a poor successor to Cereza. Viola really reminds me of that Siren kid that was Maya's apprentice and later successor in Borderlands 3. Angsty, annoying, and not worthy of taking up the mantle of a fan favorite character. Now, I'm not saying that a passing of the torch for the next generation, taking up the mantle of the fan favorite character is impossible to do. It can work. Devil May Cry did it so much better with Nero taking up the mantle after Dante and Virgil end up getting trapped in the underworld. This might not be a fair comparison since DMC fans had 2 games to see Nero grow and develop, making him seem a little more worthy of taking up Dante's mantle to be the frontrunner of the series. If Viola was just a little better written, I can see her taking over for Cereza, but how she is, she's just terrible. And my last complaint for this video before coming to a close is the ship that had absolutely no build-up over the course of this franchise and came completely out of nowhere. Which is one of the reasons why a lot of fans seem to believe that Bayonetta 3, that since they introduced the multiverse aspect to the franchise through this game, that this Bayonetta is not the Cereza from Bayonettas 1 and 2, but an alternate timeline version of Bayonetta that would get together with Luca. I honestly hate Luca and Cereza being together. If the writers wanted Cereza in a relationship, they could have made a canon, highly popular fanship with the second most popular character in the game, Jean. Bayonetta is considered a queer icon, and she has a widely LGBT plus fan base, so why not ship a popular ship that makes sense? Oh wait, they killed off Jean too. Alright, little confession, I wasn't on board with Cereza being in a relationship at all. I love seeing her as a powerful, confident woman that stands on her own, but her being a lesbian with her childhood friend, who was literally ride or die with her throughout this franchise, makes way more sense than a guy who hated and blamed Cereza for his father's death for most of his life, or going by game-wise, 3/4 of the game, hardly had an interaction with her in the second game, and after he got over his hatred for her when he learned the truth of his father's death, he was constantly making eyes at her and like roping at her and shit. And when it comes to Bayonetta 3, he was hardly interacting with her before they ended up professing their love for each other and being dragged to Inferno. It just seems like the pervert won at the end when it came to him getting with Cereza, and I just don't like that. I mean, with Bayonetta's dying breath before she's dragged to Inferno, her professing her love to a guy she really did not show any romantic interest in throughout this whole franchise, and there was literally no build-up for there to be a romantic relationship between them other than Luca acting a little lustful towards Bayonetta. It just seems very damsel in distressy to me. This romance literally came out of nowhere. There was literally no build up to their relationship, unless there was some type of extended media like a novel or a manga that properly built up and developed Luca and Cereza's romance that wasn't translated to English. It was just only published in Japan. This ship completely came out of left field, and I don't like how their cringy 2000s stream punk love child is going to end up being the frontrunner for the series if that's the route they're going for in Bayonetta 4. There have already been talk about Bayonetta 4, unless Bayonetta 3 is an alternate timeline and this is not the same Cereza from Bayonetta's 1 and 2, and the fourth game retcons the third game's story because, again, this is an alternate timeline and not our Cereza. I'm gonna pass. A terrible story, mishandling of the characters, and showing a character fans do not like is how you turn off devoted fans. I mean, look at The Last of Us. And just like with The Last of Us Part 2, when it comes to Bayonetta 3 receiving criticism and backlash from fans, the series creator or director, whatever the fuck his title is, he also threw tantrums when it came to criticism and backlash for Bayonetta 3, and he was also kind of a see you next Tuesday to fans, much of the same manner Neil Druckmann was when it came to him being overprotective and extra sensitive when it came to criticism of The Last of Us Part 2. Alright, that about does it for this video. I'm not someone that has a lot of money, and I very rarely buy new games at launch unless there's something I'm really excited for, and when it comes to Bayonetta 3, I did buy this at launch because it was a game I've been waiting for, and I feel like I just spent so much money, nearly $100 on a fucking disappointment. Well, I learned my lesson. When it comes to me buying new games, I usually wait and either watch a Let's Play or just completely go into it with full spoilers to make sure it's something I really want to spend my money on, because again, I don't have champagne pockets, so it's not like I can indulge in buying a new game whenever I want. But if hindsight was 2020, I would have supported Sonic Frontiers at launch. That's how much of a disappointment Bayonetta 3 is. I would have rather blindly support Sonic Frontiers. And after hearing the reception that game has from fans and critics, apparently it's the best Sonic game we've had in over a decade, so yeah, I kind of wish I supported that instead, but whatever. Anyway, thoughts and opinions on Bayonetta 3, leave in the comment section down below. Let's get a discussion going, and yeah, I think that's it for Bayonetta, unless Bayonetta 4 is the turnaround the franchise needs after this game. But until then, my Bayonetta ended at Bayonetta 2. The peak of Cereza's character and the peak of the franchise. Bayonetta 1 and 2, those are the only two games that exist to me.